I definitely didn't think with that tattoo that I was making a statement for the rest of my life. But that trend has continued. My tattoos for me aren't statements that I've made, you know?
I just think, well, if I don't like this one, then I'll just get more and then I'll pay more attention to the other ones.
The colors I selected were really ugly. I picked a really like a navy blue, and the vines of the flowers were like really dark green, and from far away it did not look like flowers. It just looked sort of mucky and muddy.
I just went crazy. It just looked, it's not even that big, but it looked like it took over my whole back. Like I just did something that completely ruined me.
This, a friend of mine did after he's had his machines for a couple of weeks, and there's supposed to be one on the opposite hip that has a dagger going through it with the word pain, so love and pain.
This one on this back of my leg I have, it's from a book, The Little Prince. It's the Tippler in the book, and it says around it on the outside, it says, "I'm drinking to forget that I'm ashamed of drinking." And I was kind of into drinking, still kind of am.
I was at my mother's house, and I think I was just visiting for some reason, because I got it done in Queens. The other tattoo I got done in the East Village, downtown, West 8th. The minute I took that Band-Aid off, I went hysterical. I mean hysterical. There was no explaining it. My mother was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't want her to know what was going on, because she's very against tattoos. She hates the first one. She would have killed me about the second one. But I was very older, so I'm like, I don't care.
My mom, her philosophy was, well, it's your body, you know, I don't approve, but, you know, you're doing it to yourself, you know, you're not hurting me, you're hurting yourself.
I don't think that we should concern ourselves so much with what other people think. I mean, to a certain extent we should, but we shouldn't let it really affect what we do with ourselves. It's my body, and that's all I care about.
I know people who say they want to get a tattoo, but they can't imagine making a lifetime commitment. Oh, what if I change my mind, or what if I don't want it? And I've never seen my tattoos kind of as, I guess, as like a really personal statement to the rest of the world about me. I just want them everywhere. I just want to be covered. I see them as artwork, and they're so beautiful, you know, that I don't know. They don't have any kind of like significant meaning. You know, some people can get things on them that just have such incredible meaning, and I think that's great, but that's not what it's about for me.
I generally tend to think about getting a tattoo for about 6 months to, you know, a year before I actually put it on my body. And if I still want it after that time, then it's pretty safe to say that I'll enjoy it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I loved it. They drew it with my best friend. She's good with makeup. She drew it on my back with just eyeliner. We walked around with it. I tried clothes on with it because I really, really didn't want to do another one without wanting it. Especially because the first one's such a deep meaning that this one was just like, you know, something I just wanted. And I liked it. And people liked the way it looked. And I was like, okay, what do you think? What do you think? Should I do it? Should I do it? And my best friend's known me for 14 years. She's like family. So she's known it from the first day I mentioned it to the day I got it. So she's like, you've been talking about this forever. You've been thinking about it. Go for it. So I did.
My favorite tattoo that I have is my chest. So you can see her arms here, and then this is her temple behind her. And then there's a swan, and she's actually sitting on a lotus flower with other lotuses, yeah. So, but I'm not, you know, I don't necessarily have any, like, I don't know, like it doesn't correlate, like I'm not, you know, Hindu or, you know, practice any kind of Eastern religion at all. It's just beautiful.
There's an aspect of rebellion to getting a tattoo. I come from a Jewish family, and in the Jewish religion you're not supposed to scar up your body in any way. You're not supposed to get piercings or tattoos or brandings. So, I think you're not allowed to be buried in a Jewish cemetery if your body isn't pure. I think the idea being that you that God gave you your body in a certain way, and you shouldn't mark it up and ruin it or scar it up. So there was that, which I'm not really concerned about, not being buried in a Jewish cemetery or not. I don't think that will happen.
kids get them because they're trying to find their place in life, and older people have already found that place and maybe are comfortable there and don't want to stir things up a bit, and that's what I've gotten from talking to a few older people about tattoos.
What do you define as old?
Yeah, well, when you say old, I think of probably about 30, 35.
The first tattoo that's on my ankle is a butterfly surrounded by stars. And I got it originally when I had lost someone really close to me, a young girl. And the butterfly, my grandmother calls me mariposa, which means butterfly in Spanish. And the butterfly represents me, and the stars surrounding the tattoo represent the girl who passed away. And I had got it originally, the way I have it is there's four stars. The one in front of it shows like me flying towards her. And then the ones around me are like her spirit and soul are always surrounding me. So that's the reason why I got the first tattoo, to honor someone's death.
I got my first tattoo when I was 15 years old, and this is it right here on my arm. And I think the reason why I got it was probably to fit in with the people I was hanging around at that time and to look older.
My first tattoo I got when I was 15 or 16, but I want to say 15 because I couldn't drive to get it. I got it at a place called Centralia, which is south of Olympia. And I had met a girl in my PE class at school who had a cousin who had a friend who was underage and had gotten tattooed. And I didn't really know much about tattoos. I just knew that I really wanted one. So she and I kind of got together and talked about it and decided that we were going to go down there and have it done. And so I went to the fabric store. I knew that I wanted a fairy. And so I went to the fabric store and found a stamp of a fairy and bought it. And the girl drove me down. I don't even remember her name. And we went in there, and it was, now that I know what I know from being tattooed, having worked in shops and gotten a lot more work done, it was so dirty, and the guy was so sketchy. You know, I kind of paid him, and he didn't really say anything, and it's a really bad tattoo that I'm going to have to cover up eventually.
The way I got it, because I was obviously underage to get tattoos, was I actually went online and went on a chat room and asked anybody if there was anybody in the chat room who did tattoos. And sure enough, somebody said, yeah, I do tattoos. And, he gave me his email address, and we emailed back and forth, and he showed me some of his work. And he lived down in Tacoma, so after much convincing of my mom, she eventually drove me down to Tacoma to get this first tattoo. He did a horrible job on it, as it turns out, and I had to actually find another tattoo artist to touch it up and go back over it.
My boyfriend sort of teased me and somewhat dared me, even though his words were saying, only do it if you really, really want to, but there was, I guess, it was sort of implied that, like, oh, come on, don't be a chicken and do it. And also sort of daring me to commit to something. So, yeah, I kind of felt like it wasn't 100% something I would have done if I didn't have a partner in crime.
And I remember thinking it was so big. It's probably like 4 inches. It's probably like this. But I can remember showing my girlfriends, and we were like, oh my God, it's so big. And, I was the first one out of any of us to have one. But I don't know, I loved it. I knew, like, after I got that first one that I just wanted them everywhere.